Before we begin, I want to give a quick content warning. In this video, I'll be discussing sensitive themes such as the adultification of young girls, victim blaming, and how the case of Celeste Rivas Hernandez exposes an ugly truth about our society. If you want a more detailed and empathetic breakdown of the case itself, I highly recommend watching Rotten Mango's channel. She covers these topics with a lot of care and depth. At its core, this case reveals how society silences and stigmatizes young girls. When they cry for help, they are often ignored. When they make mistakes, they are judged. When they die, their stories are sensationalized, then forgotten. Celeste's name has become a hashtag, a headline, a trending topic. But behind that, she was a real person, a daughter, a friend, a child who deserved care, not condemnation. The tragedy is not only that she died, but that so many opportunities to protect her were missed. The way we respond to Celeste's story reflects who we are as a society. We still struggle to grant empathy to girls who do not fit the ideal of innocence. We still hesitate to hold powerful men accountable when they cross lines. We still fail to see that behind every missing girl, alert is a life in danger, not a rebellious child, but a vulnerable one. When young girls are adultified, blamed, and forgotten, the fault lies not with them, but with the culture that enables such harm. In the end, Celeste's story is not just about one girl and one artist. It is about all of us. It forces us to ask, why do we keep failing to protect children? Why do we keep forgiving those who harm them? And most importantly, what will it take for us to finally listen before another young life is lost? We owe it to Celeste, and to every girl like her, to break this pattern of silence and blame. Justice is not only about punishment, it is about reflection, reform, and remembering our duty to the innocent. Until we confront the ways we collectively enable exploitation, no investigation or verdict will truly bring peace. The case of Celeste Rivas, what it says about our society. The death of 15-year-old Celeste Rivas Hernandez has sent shockwaves across the world. Her body was discovered in the front trunk of a Tesla belonging to the popular musician D4VD, David Anthony Burke, after the car was abandoned and towed to an impound lot. Investigations are still ongoing, and the cause of death remains undetermined. But even in this uncertainty, the story of Celeste has already revealed something deeply unsettling about the world we live in. Beyond the headlines, this tragedy exposes how society continues to fail young girls through adultification, victim blaming, and systemic neglect. Celeste had been reported missing several times in 2024, in February, March, and April, and each time, she was found and brought home. Deputies reportedly visited her house multiple times over the years, yet nothing changed. Her final disappearance ended in tragedy. While the investigation unfolds, the public's reaction to her death reveals uncomfortable truths about how we treat girls, especially those who come from vulnerable backgrounds. The question is not just what happened to Celeste, but why it keeps happening to girls like her. One of the most disturbing aspects of this case is the adultification of young girls. Society has a long history of denying childhood innocence to girls, especially when they show independence or maturity. Girls like Celeste are too often treated as young women expected to make adult decisions, navigate adult dangers, and bear adult consequences. When a teenage girl becomes the victim, people rush to ask, why was she out so late? Or why was she with an older man? These questions assume she had agency equal to an adult's, ignoring that a child cannot consent to adult dynamics of power, fame, and influence. This adultification not only distorts how we perceive victims, it justifies the failure of institutions meant to protect them. Closely tied to adultification is victim blaming, a pattern that emerges almost instantly when such tragedies occur. Instead of asking who harmed her or how she was failed, society asks what she did wrong. The public scrutiny of Celeste's life, choices, and behavior has been relentless. In some corners of social media, people have implied that she knew what she was doing or put herself in danger. This mindset reveals a moral blindness, a refusal to hold adults accountable when they exploit the young. Victim blaming is not only cruel, It is a form of societal complicity. It teaches perpetrators that they can hide behind narratives of mutual involvement, while young girls bear the shame for their own victimization. Then comes the role of power, celebrity, and accountability. When fame enters the picture, justice becomes uneven. In Celeste's case, the car belonged to a well-known musician, someone admired, followed, and idolized. This complicates public perception. Many are quick to defend celebrities, dismiss accusations, or downplay involvement simply because of status. Fame grants people the power to shape narratives, influence fans, and even sway how investigations unfold. This dynamic is not new. It reflects how society often protects the powerful and questions the powerless. The result is a culture that values reputation over truth and influence over innocence. The tragedy also highlights the systemic failures that allowed this to happen. Celeste's repeated disappearances were not isolated incidents, they were red flags. Authorities visited her home multiple times, yet she continued to fall through the cracks. These repeated encounters point to a larger institutional problem, a system that reacts to crises but rarely prevents them. Child protection, law enforcement, and social welfare often fail to coordinate effectively, leaving at-risk children unprotected until it is too late. Celeste's story forces us to confront this uncomfortable reality, that our systems are not designed to safeguard every child equally. Some are simply allowed to vanish. So, what we as a collective society can do to stop such cases from happening. How we can stop this from happening again. Celeste's story should not just break our hearts, it should open our eyes. If we want to prevent tragedies like hers, change has to happen on multiple levels, within families, schools, law enforcement, the media, and society itself. Believe and protect young girls. The first step is to listen when girls speak up, whether they're reporting abuse, saying they feel unsafe, or showing signs of distress. Too often, their voices are dismissed as drama, rebellion, or attention-seeking. Every missing report, every cry for help, must be taken seriously. Believing them could literally save lives. Challenge victim blaming. We need to stop asking, why was she there? And start asking, why was she not protected? Society must stop moralizing and start empathizing. Victim blaming protects abusers and silences victims. Holding each other accountable, in conversations, in media comments, in classrooms, is part of building a safer culture. End the adultification of young girls. We must unlearn the habit of treating young girls as adults, sexualizing them, judging them, or expecting emotional maturity from them. They are children and should be protected as such. This means changing the way media portrays teenage girls and how adults speak about them in real life and online. Demand accountability from systems and institutions. Police, social workers, and schools must be trained to recognize and respond to warning signs of abuse or exploitation. Every time a missing child returns home, there should be follow-up care, counseling, investigation, and support, not just a report filed and forgotten. The system must prioritize prevention over paperwork. Hold the powerful to the same standards as everyone else. Fame, wealth, or social status should never shield anyone from scrutiny or consequence. Justice cannot be selective. When celebrities or influential people are involved in investigations, the public must insist on fairness and transparency, not blind loyalty. Educate boys and young men early. Preventing exploitation also means teaching boys from a young age about respect, consent, and empathy. It's not enough to protect girls. We must raise better men. Keep the conversation going. Awareness fades quickly after the headlines do. Keep talking about cases like Celeste's, share educational resources, and support organizations that protect at-risk youth. Change only happens when the topic stays alive in public consciousness. Closing reflection. Celeste's story is tragic, but it does not have to be meaningless. It should remind us that behind every missing girl is a child who deserved safety, love, and protection, not judgment. The real measure of a society is how it treats its most vulnerable members. If we truly care, then we must stop looking away, stop excusing, and start acting.